one.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Bro Show. I'm Dr. Amir, and with my esteemed brother and colleague Drago Reed, we are your spiritual bros. And today we've got an extraordinary couple, one of the most extraordinary power couples I've ever seen. So we've got Christopher and Joanna. These wonderful, wonderful souls have done so much towards enlightenment. Many publications, many conferences, many products, genuine help. I have benefited from the wonderful work of this magnificent power couple on my journey of awakening. And so there's no words that can describe the amount of joy and gratitude I have for them being here. Welcome, welcome, you beautiful people. How are
Hmm.
you doing?
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I never expected such a loving and warm welcome as you've given us. So thank you. That's very, very, very kind. We're doing just fine. I know that it's really kind of very interesting. We're all about the energies, very, very interesting times. I know that we have talked a lot about kind of some of the incoming issues and the incoming energies, but I have to say it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to experience it. And so I think that even with us being emotionally and spiritually somewhat prepared for it, it's pretty much thick in the mud right now as far as energies, and we call it turning up the dial, allowing for a lot of, let's just say, confused thoughts, confused conversation. Everybody is ready to find a reason to get mad and explode, let's just say. And so I wish I could say it was anything other than it was designed to do this. I think for a lot of people, they're recognizing now that, wow, we're in the thick of it. And, who can I blame, for this, and trying to find their ways out of it. And in that process of a lot of blame and anger and frustration and struggle, maybe just even to survive, I think for people right now, what's happening is that it's hard to see the energies and the man behind the curtain. So it's easier to point your fingers at other people right now around you and say, it has to be something more close than actually something a little bit more remote. So we like to talk about it because we hope to help people expand in their thought process, see it from a little bit different level to enable people to cope better through some of these times.
I think it's best.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking, I think it's just best we just dive straight into the deep end and see how deep the rabbit hole goes. You're right. Like the energies that's happening right now, the position we are in the rotation of the planets and everything, like everything's in retrograde every other month, and like people are turning on each other. Like there's so much stuff happening, like just like we were talking about, like the whole disclosure community, it is literally tearing itself apart. And this is by design. They're activating people around the world, but also the energies is amplifying everything around the world, so they're weaponizing that. So you guys, in your experience of doing what you guys do and doing so many interviews and helping people, what patterns are you guys seeing right now that's consistent with everybody?
Oh yeah, with everybody, consistency. I'm not saying everybody's dumb or stupid or anything like that, but I'm seeing this massive like dumbing effect that's taking place.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this like even from people that you normally wouldn't expect this from. And it has nothing to do whether you have knowledge in a particular area. It has to do with your susceptibility to whatever the frequencies are. And I've noticed that even going day to day, if you're poking your head above this dumbing. It doesn't matter if a person's been the nicest person in the world. They'll come and just attack you for absolutely no reason whatsoever. They'll be in a pissy mood, or they'll be in this, or they'll say something really stupid that triggers you, and then you're at them. So yeah, and so I've noticed the consistent pattern across the board that just kind of is above any of the others, which some of the others are depression, low neurotransmitter level, things of this nature. But the whole dumbing effect is what I've seen being the majority of this particular energetic effect. Now, I feel the entire human populace is targeted. It's just the ones that are the targeted individuals are the ones that poke their head above this dumbing line. This psionic dampening line that's going out right now. And I see it stronger at different times of year. It really gets chaotic around the Samhain time frame at the end of the year. But right about now, I'd say this year is right almost on par with 2020 with just a glaring difference. In 2020, I saw the most ghost energies or ghostly energies. This year, I've seen the most dumbing energies. So there was a slight bit of difference. There was a major dumbing then too, but it was there's a slight scale tip. But the patterns that have been also consistent, also I've seen another one that has been rather consistent that's been up there with the dumbing effect, and that's what we call the yield. Especially with what's dividing the disclosure community apart is the yield. You have some truthful information with a bit of bullshit, pretty much, or you have some bullshit with a bit of truthful in there. So I've seen this pattern, this yin yang pattern for years. I've seen it most prevalent now. And I've seen some also the same, I don't want to dump on my fellow channelers, but some of the same consistent generic messages that have come across as well.
I agree.
And I've seen this constantly, especially this year.
It's like
And I
Operation
know,
Mockingbird for channelers. It's like
what was this?
Operation Mockingbird for channelers.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And also I know how difficult it is. And I get hit even today. I was getting struck with I've been getting struck with things. And knowing which end is up and what is reality and what isn't. On certain days, if you're tired or something, that is very difficult. We've dubbed this the age of discernment because it is very, very ugly right now in the energetic areas. It may seem calm on the surface, but there's a riptide taking place underneath the surface that is you only see the effects of it when it kind of regurgitates into the space. And it's just this big riptide that's taking place. Very difficult to do channelings, even though I have done them. I have shows I do constantly. I have to be very cautious about what I call in, who I call in, and for the reasons I call them in.
Yeah.
And
actually reflect. I think one of the things that we've been known for is that we believe that when we say everyone is susceptible to some of this, we mean everyone, including ourselves. There's not a human being on earth that isn't susceptible at times to some of this. So with that kind of caveat, we have zero problem talking about something that we're going to redact or take out or relook at. What we look for, and then this kind of leads into the discussion of what does unity mean. So, you have to be willing to reflect. There are so many layers put up against someone. If you are a channeler or looking at somebody, what are you actually looking at? A long time ago, it used to be thought of that it had to be something greater than, something benevolent. That's what we were all taught in our belief systems. Well, the truth of it is, that's not the truth. The truth of it is that, there are groups and people who have been, let's just say, putting in information in the channeling lines that are just as human as you and I, but have been doing it for quite some time to cause confusion, to cause what we like to say, the narrative of disclosure, the narrative of what they want out. This has been controlled for a very long time. And you have to work really hard to try and peer above it and grab information and try to bring it in. So that's one of the reasons that throughout all this time, we've always avoided talking about an individual, you know, and saying this person's getting it all right and getting it all wrong. But what we want to talk about is ask me about the information, and we'll do our best to be able to see what do we come up with. And then again, as Chris is saying, it is the age of discernment. But we like to talk about the strategies that are used to keep people down. Why is it being employed to keep people down? And a lot of it has to do with the disclosure narrative. And I mean that disclosure approved narrative that necessarily isn't the truth, but is the agreed upon disclosure narrative that's going to keep a lot of people smelling like a rose when they should be smelling like a pile of dung for some of the things that they've done. And that's the bottom line reason. And they do not care if they have to outlast people who maybe see beyond it. They'll push it out for generations because they figure in a few generations, those people that maybe were a part of something who want to talk about a different perspective and truth that occurred, that they'll just outlast you. And so these are kind of, unfortunately, some of the truths and the chaos. Now, I think you guys can also remember here in the last 20 years, I'm just going to say 20 years, the change that has happened with our governmental type officials, people that we look up to, okay? It used to be, believe it or not, 30, 40 years ago, you know, people would agree to disagree. They would look for a foundational area to work on together, and then they would agree to disagree. Over the past 20 years, it has been intentional to change the thought process of people to it's either 100% agreement or you're dead to me, or I'm coming after you. That whole concept, and that's an unrealistic expectation because humanity has never all seen everything the same way. But if you can get past that, and if you can go backwards to let's look at what's running through the middle of everything, that is where the unity begins. That is where we all need to go to and make certain foundations solid and then still explore and expand in other areas. But what's happened over the last 20 years has been this complete and utter three-letter agency plus other agencies around the world plus cabal, whatever you want to say, intentional changing the dynamics of what is just good citizenship. How do we treat one another? All of that has gone out the window for the past 20 years. And I'm hoping more and more people can sit back and say, wait a minute, is this really how I want society to be? And give themselves pause for thought. Now, again, that's a bigger discussion than just the disclosure community and what we talk about. But we, the disclosure community, are being subjected to the exact same energies that all of the rest of the world who know nothing about it are. And this is the common thread running through them all that causes the chaos in any sort of community where people are trying to come together. It's the exact same thing happening everywhere.
Yes. So this wave, this intentional wave of opposition towards unity, towards enlightenment, the techniques used have been verified. There are certain susceptibilities that a human being has, and they are used very effectively. Some of them are of the nature of, let's say, mainstream technology. You see this in the advertisement industry, how people are swayed to vote one way or another. It's actually quite simple to identify a reward function, the way a person operates. Very, very, very simple, painfully simple. So really the way out of it is awareness. And so this would really be a wonderful program, a wonderful discussion, giving people the tools so they become aware. Once people have correct information, then they make correct choices. They don't need a law book or somebody to tell them the nitty-gritty of what to do. Christopher, when you were talking about some days it being more difficult, you touched upon something critical, that if you're tired or unwell, this does have an effect. So perhaps as the first milestone, let's agree on the health of the physical body. That you have to be in a good physical state, a good emotional state, and have control over your emotions. This emotional state seems to be the key here, how they really get in. They make you really happy or make you really sad. The aura weakens, and then there's a way to infiltrate. So, being a cosmic level wizard, you've probably also come across this type of approach of infiltration through shocks to your energy structure. So,
Absolutely.
shall we
Absolutely.
shall we move towards some useful strategies for our wonderful audience, how to start with themselves? So we start with the self, and then we spread the word, and slowly we have herd immunity, but in a good way.
Yeah, I've noticed. I noticed that after a while, of course, I have never always been really in complete shape. I've never really have been. And post when I got hurt back in 2009, it got even more so. I was more deconditioned, and I was more focused on what I was doing after that, energetically, things on the computer, things of this nature. And I was more focused on those type of tasks. And I've noticed as time went on, especially post 2020, that my physical body wasn't allowing for my sight to be as accurate, or even with the dumbing in place, especially with that, things were getting in, infiltrations are getting in, from attachments to different entities, things that I normally could have very easily taken care of were starting to bug the hell out of me. So what I did was at one point, I was told, your body itself, the cells let off a particular frequency. When you're deconditioned, it's like you're ringing the dinner bell. So you have to. It's no different than somebody looshing you. So you have to get a little bit more in shape. So even with my damaged leg, I had to start doing weightlifting, walking more, stuff like that. I did notice a change after that, but also the foods that I intook. I noticed 9/10 of what I was eating was poison at that point, and I noticed that we still go out to eat. We still do things like this, but we're pickier about where we actually go. Before I was like, meh, like that, and I was thinking, nah, I'll just get immune to all of this, And now I noticed that was completely false. The poison was there for a reason, and that was another form of the dumbing, not just frequency, it was chemical. So I had to actually move on from there. When you start to purge some of these things, like when I got sick back in 2021, I stopped drinking sodas at that point. And because I noticed there was a lot of nanotech shoved into, especially in Coca-Cola and things of this nature. And I was like, nah, I got to get rid of this. Never looked back at that point with sodas. And I noticed an extreme improvement there from the frequency that those foods were in and those drinks were in. I tried energy drinks, didn't work. I still drink coffee, of course, sometimes, and it's just like I need, yeah, you need something. But at that point, I noticed certain things starting to improve, but I also noticed that there was a greater push to drive me insane. And I'm being honest with people on the show here, that has been pretty prevalent lately. I mean, very prevalent. And the way I know how it's accomplished to defeat it, but getting to that point, even for myself, has been difficult. So, getting into that calm space, or as the forest people call it, the unharmed space, where it's this calm, like, you're just holding the space. That is actually becoming slightly more difficult, especially if there's triggers placed around you, even by allies. I've noticed there's triggers like if somebody says a particular word, or if somebody does something in particular that's pretty passive usually, but it's basically nails on a chalkboard to you at that particular time. And that nails on a chalkboard is very, very loud. Technology is also affecting the body with something we call the mouth, where it's like this weird, creepy AI consciousness that's actually causing it gets in your ear and basically just doesn't shut up. If you get to a particular frequency, you don't hear it as bad. But one of the things that I've noticed, grounding is probably one of the most important defenses against all of these things. If you get dislodged or ungrounded, and you get, like you said, holes in your auric field and everything, you're done for at that point, because it can get pretty bad. And some of these forces know what things to say and what things to do. And there have been days recently that it's soul trying, because it's not just from a business standpoint or from an energetic standpoint. It's like a mix of everyday little things that even your allies are controlled to do certain things. And it's like, oh, really? Could you give it a rest for 2 seconds? And there have been days where I've gotten it to clear and gotten it to where I'm holding the space better. Joanna's done the same. Our friends have done the same. But then there's been days when we've all been complete basket cases.
Yeah.
And the solution is the same in all cases: grounding. Uh, and
Okay, Christopher, grounding. Okay, let's elaborate for someone who doesn't know anything.
Okay.
So, grounding 101.
So
Okay.
let me start with a couple of things regarding that people don't normally think about that's important with grounding. First of all, one of the things that you really have to understand is that you are here in this current present moment. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but a lot of people, because of the discomforts of, life, the energies, they like to look out around. They like to, if you have the ability to read even some of your own Akashics or whatever, people are out and about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's causing, again, a destabilization, because people sometimes feel so out of control in their life as a current present moment that they don't want to be here, and it sounds more exciting to be somewhere else or to look at something else. This really is the time where you have to understand your importance of being present right here, right now, in the body that you are in. It is no mistake. You are who you have been looking for. You have maybe access to your own grander library where you learn the skill to pull in from yourself more information that may be helpful. But it's not about trying to go necessarily to someplace else. It's about being here where you are and understanding that you are meant to be here and now, and you are of great value. So it is a tactic to destabilize people, to get them to want to look and drift everywhere else, because it keeps you out of doing what you should be doing right here and right now. And it, again, is a fabulous way to keep a unity from occurring and the energetics that can come from a unity. So this is one of those things. So when you stop and you stop wandering all around and you just sit within yourself, then the question is simply, well, who are you? Because you're going to have things now that we all sit in beaming to you, trying to tell you how to think, trying to tell you, what to see, what to believe, how to act in society and everything. But that's not who you necessarily are. That's what everything external is trying to tell you to be. So you've got to spend some time grounding yourself and understanding in that I'm going to stay here, current, present moment, and I am going to figure out who I am. And again, with the, we say the truth is the truth until a new truth comes along. You may be someone who says, well, I hate the world and I hate everybody in it. Do you? Do you really? Or is that what is being told for you to do? But when you think about it, you're like, I really love watching those birds. I really love going out there and seeing the ocean or seeing the, desert or taking a bike ride well, that's not hate. Do you see what I mean? I really enjoy it when I go by a park and I see kids out now because they weren't out when the COVID and look at them out there playing. Look at that joy. That brings me joy. Okay, so is crazy as all this sounds, you have to find yourself and who you are in your feelings. Now, you could say, uh, you know, behaviors like this really get me angry. Well, that's fine. We all gonna have some of that. But I think one of the biggest problems that is going on right now is that people don't know who they are. So they don't know what to defend. They don't know, what to believe. They don't know these things. And a successful, strategy to have people not even leaving their homes so they can figure it out. All they still have is, the computer or, the TV or something telling them again what to be, right? So that basic grounding, that is actually the 101. And then when you find out who are you, like for example, I genuinely love people. I don't care what you decided to experience. I feel you have a right to. You could have come in to be the biggest jerk, dirt bag, because that's what your soul wanted you to experience. And you'll be a jerk, dirt bag. And I hope you get back what it means to be a jerk, dirt bag by other people. So you get the whole entire feedback, right? For whatever your experience is. Doesn't mean I have to walk the same side of the street of you, but I can respect the fact that you come in to have that experience. So I also believe that we're not on the same sheet of paper. We're not all here learning the same thing. I'm not threatened by that at all. But I, just want people to have their experience. I'll decide whether I feel it's in my best interest to interact with you or not. But I respect it. You can do what you want, minus, you know what I mean, minus the horrible things, no children problems, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that. So don't go there. But what I'm saying is that if you do these things, then why is it going through my mind right now that I want to harm everyone if I actually don't feel that way?
Yes,
so
and
you
it's being
have to
piped
be
in.
able to discern, I'm not listening to that crap anymore. Get it, go away. It's not who I am. But you have to start back at the basics. People think, and don't take this wrong, but in the drama of it all, people can think that they're past the basics when they haven't even really started the basics yet. And so again, it's something we're not popular about when we say these things, but it's a truth right now. The confusion is so bad.
Yes, this is so powerful. So if one does not know whom and what they are, if an intrusive thought through any means comes in, they have no means to distinguish and understand an intrusion. So that knowing of the self, establishing a baseline, that is super important. And so looking at probably how to establish this, you beautifully spoke about the effect of all this media, the bombardment of information, and that's just what we are aware of. There are many layers to this. So probably going into an environment where there is less of it, maybe leaving devices at home and going into nature, taking off your shoes and socks and putting your feet on the grass, and then waiting for the matrix to turn off, and then suddenly you start hearing the birds singing. They've always been there, but it takes a little while for the noise to go away, or you hear the sound of the wind through the leaves. Then you look at yourself. Okay, this is my baseline. This is my natural state. And so from there, just because something or a thought happens in your mind, it doesn't mean it's yours. That's another thing people really miss. So these techniques.
Let me remind you of one thing I'd like to share with people that you can start saying as well to remind them. For all of human history and safety, birds sing when things are safe. Birds do not sing when things are unsafe. So there's so much stress that people carry right now going out and listening to the birds, be it in your own backyard, be it whatever, you need to decompress and listen to them sing. It will start to dissolve some of the stress on you because it's innate in us. We've been around birds all our life. We use birds to make ourselves feel better. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, getting one of the things is, of course, getting people not to go into nature, but you can put a few bird feeders out. And I know it sounds, crazy to do, but going out and trying to look and experience these things on your walk, looking at the flowers, listening, and trying to clear your head a little bit, it's really important. But remember, hearing birds is a signal of safety, and so try to bring that in. It will help dissolve some of those other layers.
Yeah, and I've noticed that also we go over to this local park that's close by here, and there's parts of it that are way off into the woods. They just carved a path off into the actual woods. And there was one day where we went on the wrong trail, and we went on the longer one instead of the shorter one. Normally, I can't do that with my leg, but I noticed when I wasn't thinking about it, I just kept walking. And before we realized that we were walking, like we'd already walked like 3 to 4 miles, and so we had to turn around and go back to where the little junction point was. But the whole point of the thing was, I noticed we were out there for like 3 hours. In that time, I noticed all the technological junk that I had accumulated had spilled off, and I had completely regrounded at that point.
Wow.
And with all the trees and the birds and everything around, and came back to the house, and I could clearly feel where everything was really off when I got back here. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what happened while we were gone? But it wasn't while we were gone. We just gotten used to it, like a bad smell in the room, and that's the whole point. People think, oh, I'm just fine. No, I would challenge people to go into nature and clean it all off and then come back. You're going to see how not fine it is. And I want people to notice that difference, because then they know they're being screwed with then by an external source. Or if they thought they knew a particular truth and it wasn't true at all, they're going to go, wait a minute, if this one's wrong, what else is wrong? And what else in reality is wrong? So I always challenge people, go and do that. Stay away for an extended period. And I noticed we were gone for one time a couple of days somewhere, came back, and it was like, what happened here? And it was even worse. So when I noticed this, and the same thing was when we were in Arizona. So when we would go and spend time in a hotel and back, or like when we went to the conference and left to go to Florida. But the whole point of this being brought up is, but once you ground and you start getting those roots back into the earth, you start to shed the unnecessary pieces. And then here's another piece of this. If there's a part of you that wants to come out, like say if you had some hidden memories or something like that are supposed to come out, like either from the SSP side or alien abduction side, or even necessary, and I say necessary past life stuff, there's unnecessary things people tap into and mirror them across time when you're not supposed to, and people screw around when they're not supposed to. But aside from that, then you start to bring out the things that your soul was trying to bring out all along. And if you're unstable somewhere in your normal life, or I should say normal life, if you're unstable somewhere, your soul is basically saying, hey, this is not where you're supposed to be. And you're not supposed to be doing this at the moment. You're supposed to either stabilize this, find a way to stabilize this, or move away from it. And that's essentially the soul saying those things. It wants stability and balance above all else, and grounding gets you to that place. Now, if a part of your subconscious was screwed with, like if you were in the programs or something like that, it's extra hard to do that. And I can tell you that from experience, from SSP period and everything. Very difficult with that, especially if you have altars in play. And I've dealt with altars from the SSP where it seems like they're dislodged. The only reason they were dislodged is your memory was suppressed, and the memory is still with the altar. So it can get very, very difficult, where it can go into a yin yang or like a Jekyll and Hyde type of situation. But the same rules apply. And also, if you have like a warrior side, and we also were talking about this with the channelings with both Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris when they came through. The quote they both used was, "The warrior must have a home." And that's also a form of grounding as well. where you have to give the warrior an outlet somewhere and allow it to have a place. Even if you're a more peaceful person, if you come from a warrior lineage or had an SSP time or had warrior past lives, it has to be reconciled somewhere. And you
That's
must
beautiful.
include it.
That's so powerful. So let me see if I understand what you said correctly. That we have the ability to transmute poison, but in order to do that, we need the home. So we stop the flow of fresh stuff so this magnificent mechanism can deal with it. So that refuge or home or where we charge ourselves. And so I suppose we can all agree that would be nature, connecting to nature.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And for some people, again, a lot of people are used to thinking of the words grounding being barefoot, but you can't be barefoot all the time.
Yes.
So what we would suggest is that, I know it sounds corny where we say hug a tree, but look for the larger trees in the area and put your hands on them. Close your eyes for a minute. If you're sensitive, you're going to feel, believe it or not, a calming, energetic presence go through your fingers and your hands. So nature is, something that can help anyone. It's like, in truth, I'd say, guys, if you want to have an SSP conference, do it in the woods somewhere. Because you guys are going to be bringing up so much stuff that needs to be transmuted through nature, and you do not want opportunistic assholes grabbing onto some of this stuff. You want to cause a transformation and healing of the energies. My suggestion is, again, if you're going to have these kinds of things, you need to do it in an environment that is set up for grounding and healing, so that you can look and experience some of these things as a part of you that you can separate and look at and discuss and bring out what's important. But yet you can also turn around and still walk through nature, touch the trees, keep yourself grounded here, and be able to then also release the enormous amount of all kinds of feelings that you're going to have with some of these conversations. So when you're doing it in some environments, the environment you're doing it in makes a huge difference as to whether there is something opportunistic there that is going to take that energy and spin it into more chaos, or if the goal is to have these conversations to bring up things for healing, you have to be in the right environment. So, like for people who saw us, we tried our best to bless places we were at, bring some of our things we were at, to try to put the energies in a place that were less inviting to some opportunistic, bad type energies. And you can only do the best you can, but it's just something in consideration that if you're going to do this, you need to do it in an environment that can offer healing. Or what happens is that chaos can force a lot of people, I call it, to keep circling the toilet. And that's unhelpful to what I think the goal is for some of these get-togethers.
That's so profound. So populated cities, if you're more sensitive, it's unmistakable. I'm in the United Kingdom, and the energy of London is just awful. I can't live there. I can't travel there. Every now and again, there's something I need to do once in a year or every 2 years, and I really dislike it. And so the opposite is also true. So that is spot on, Joanna. Thank you so much. So this is a good thing for the people who may be listening and are in the business of creating such events. And so, Christopher, you were speaking about the emotional reaction that people may have in these conferences or get-togethers. People start crying, tears come, old traumas are coming up. So it would make perfect sense to do this in a beautiful rainforest, somewhere in Mexico or Brazil, or next to the beach where you can go into the ocean and the sea will wash away and help you heal. So this
And
is
Yeah, and the
beautiful.
healing side of it should be a part of the conference,
yeah,
not just the bringing
Mm,
up of information, but then the healing of it.
yeah, the healing side of it. Yeah, how to reconcile it of it, and also have it have the conference in a wooded area or a or on the beach like the last conference we went to was. The
Yeah,
beach being in the salt water absolutely helped immensely.
yeah,
So we made it a point every morning while we were there to. I just went out snorkeling. I never get a chance to do that here. The waters are too rough here in
yes.
Virginia Beach, so and also in the Outer Banks in North Carolina, way too rough to do that. So in Florida, it was perfect. I even brought some of the sand back with me to include on the
Yes.
property here. So yeah, it you want to do things like that. Find time to do things that are not involving the other thing as well. I've noticed that's also very important to grounding. But when the soul wants something up and out, the soul tends to get it. So
yeah, it's going to happen.
it's going to happen. Absolutely. So.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. Okay, so we've talked about grounding. Now let's turn around 180 and point upwards. Something that is immensely soothing is connection to source. Different cultures, different people call the beloved divine by many names. Allah, Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, Brahma, whatever. It's all the human heart recognizing where we're coming from. That's immensely soothing. So, towards this, every time I have the honor of getting back home, tears start coming. It's involuntary. These aren't sad tears. They're tears of profundity, of belonging. Like, oh my God, this is so nice. I had so many questions and I really don't care anymore. That itch that needs scratching goes away.
Mhm.
So, connection to source is the remedy to pretty much everything. So, um, what would be your advice for people who are getting into channeling or getting for the first time visions of the non-physical? How would they be able to make sure they're connecting to the right thing?
Okay, yeah, this is actually I would like to say it's an easy answer to that. It's more of a loaded that's more of a loaded question because at the same time, these forces are trying to get people to disconnect from true benevolent source creator and true benevolent spirit, which is impossible, by the way. But the fact that they believe that that's a thing is the reason that they're trying to disconnect people so that people don't access their totality of their information. And the way you get into that space where you're actually connecting, again, we already did grounding, but going the other direction is that you have to know your own mind and your own thoughts. And going up here, the thing of it is these forces out there want to keep you cycling in all of these thoughts up here, wanting to keep the brain and the mind busy. You have to keep the mind busy by fusing it with the heart space and turning it into more critical thinking. You got to use your intuition more in that respect. And how you're actually doing this, say if you get some creepy thought put in your head, just as a singular thing or like a narrative put in your head. I always tell people if they have a weird story that's going through their head, somebody is projecting it in there, and you take control of your own creativity, which they're trying to hijack that, because that comes from the soul, and they're trying to put a blocker in place and run a projector. So what you do is you just take it and change the ending to whatever it is they're creating, to where you either defeat the bad guy, make it so if somebody died in it, they're not dead anymore, and things of this nature. And then you put at the end of it, you essentially put your name as the executive producer and director, like it's a film, and then you fade it to black, and that means you've just severed the cord to whatever they're doing. And I tried that once when I was standing in our garage in Arizona one time. I noticed it pissed two Draco off immensely when I did that because they were trying to hijack my creative abilities. I went, wait a minute. This is a narrative, and I flipped it around and organically changed the ending and then cut it. They hated it when I did that. And then after that, after I was able to purge them, I noticed that the soul was basically saying, okay, here's the actual information, and the real information started to flow. Another thing was we recently were talking with a bunch of friends on a show that we were doing. We've met a couple new people and some people we've known for some time. And we did a show. One of our franchises is a Galactic Interversal Consortium, and we had the lifting, of course. But we were on GIC and we were talking with a couple new people on there. And afterwards, we just started talking and we noticed that there was this, we noticed the soul family connection. And when it's an organic connection,
Yeah.
it requires very little, I don't want to say action on your part. That's the wrong choice of words. It's very little effort to that action on this side for discernment. If it's without that flow, then I would question what you're looking at or who you're around. So that's a main thing. You know, the whatever feeling you're getting, if you get this tight feeling in your chest when you're around something, no, you don't want that.
So in the topic that you're bringing up, what Chris was bringing up, we're never disconnected, it is our understanding of the way things are that we call it the benevolent source of all things, things like that, because a lot of people there's been different religions made, different things made. But again, as we've always said, no matter what happens, most things that stand the test of time are going to stand that way because they are tapping into something real that we innately know. And so one of the things, again, that most people innately seem to know is there's something more than just us, and we're somehow connected to it. Now, you have, again, the different religions. And this is where I talk about, one of the areas of unity where you can decide that this is the truth in a mindset of a religion, or this is the truth, or this is the truth. But what I say is, how about we first just all agree to take the center line, and we can say that we believe that we're connected to something, and everyone's trying to define it and say it is this or is that or is this or is that. But really, more of the truth is probably the center line going between them all. And then when you can sit back, because again, like I've said, the infighting, the fighting that has been made, you either agree with me or, you're horrible. But in this aspect, again, I do not like to throw the baby out with the bathwater in pretty much anything, because there is the truth that runs through it all. And so when you look at this, and through most of these religions, again, I'm talking about what is benevolent for humanity kind of things, that you will see the median that runs through them all. I hope here within the short time in the future, you start to see some of these leaders of these other religions, all of them grabbing for the center line. They did. In my lifetime, I have seen it where people have gotten together of different places going for the center. Then that had to be destroyed, because one of the things Chris was just talking about as well is when you get people all agreeing to something, the positive, benevolent energy from that is exponentially grown. And so if it's not within a narrative that people want, it needs to be tampered down. So that type of cooperation that happened 30 years ago, right, where people were attempting to do this, younger generations are, what are you even talking about, right? Because they weren't around watching that being tampered down. So you have to go to these core thoughts and let that be the foundation, and then just start to expand, where people are going to have to now relook at things in their belief system. What was this based off of? What's real about it? What's not? Maybe, I need to, again, the truth is the truth until a new truth comes along, and I have to relook at this, but I am going to agree with this foundational line. And if everybody focuses on those things, then benevolent energy just expands and grows. And that's where you have to go through and stop the fighting. So it's the same thing. Now we have a belief system that when you think of, again, the source of everything, that infinite intelligent source of absolutely everything that we all swim in, that also that we are connected to ourselves that is as big as its own universe, that there's no way you can put all of that into what I call us, the avatar, right? And so a lot of what we are feeling is actually, yes, the source is there and with you and a part of you and all around you, but you also, there's kind of that middleman, bigger part of you that you can also pull to, expect, for, information, a huge library or whatever, that you have that aspect of yourselves too. But in a benevolent society, okay, and I'm very particular, we get very particular on the words we use. We try to tell people benevolence should be coming out of your mouth a lot. Benevolence for your highest good should be coming out a lot, because there is a contrast that is out there as well. And so one of the things that most people also know is there is the flip side. There is a malevolence out there. So as much as people want to expand and do in benevolence, there is a malevolence which, again, tampers people down, tampers society, is chaos, is destruction, is the opposite of what normal human beings really actually want. And so you also have to be grounded in an understanding that it all exists. That again was something that most people were taught, that only that benevolence trumps everything. Well, we're not at that level. We're at the level where it's all doing that. And we have to kind of see it for what it is. And it will be our getting together, our collective energies. There is no savior. We have to pull it all together and start these energetic bubbles that will expand, right? Because we are choosing that we want to expand benevolence. We do not have to agree. We have basic foundational belief systems. We do not have to agree on everything, but the basis is benevolence, is about dignity, respect, growth, caring, right? All of those principles, because again, we're big students also on what we call our galactic history, and what I call this whole expression and experience, where from our understanding at one time, and it's way back, people got along and then everybody went down the toilet. So the experience of going through the toilet, of hitting rock bottom, of not getting along, of having destruction, chaos, well, now the soul wants the experience of what it's like to grow back into what do we need to do to grow out of that, to actually then have the experience of unity, caring, love, and within that, growth into the galactic community, let's say, and things like that. So, it makes it easy always to have a savior, but we're not meant, we are meant to grow ourselves and to save ourselves. And that probably the one trick that I always see, that I always point out, well, here's the next savior coming along, and here's the next savior coming along, and here's the next savior coming along, right? Because they're always going to do the exact same thing, and it's the next savior. It's the next savior, be it whatever, is coming along, you know what I mean, to do that for people, because everyone's tired right now, and I get it. But we have to get back to some of these, basics. Like, for example, let's just talk about the disclosure community. What do we have in common? Well, most of us have in common that we believe that more than humans exist, right? Most of us have in common the belief system now that maybe our government isn't exactly what it appears to be, and maybe not even for our highest good, that probably technology as we know it, there's what the surface people know and are exposed to, and then there's a whole nother thing that's hundreds of years in the future that is a part of human society, right? We can believe in that.
Yeah.
We can believe that maybe governments have traded things for tech. So have, they met with most likely. Now, do we have to agree on all the dirty details? Like, when was it done? Or what agreement was exact? Do we have to? Because this is what I see now as the arguing. It's the fine-tunement
Yeah.
And that's now what's causing no one to get along. And I'm like, why do we have to know the fine details? Why do you have to know it? Why
I
do
think
you,
it's in some instances, though, if it's your path to know the fine
well,
details,
well,
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying as a general brush that sometimes we can get together in unity as a general brushstroke, broad brushstroke, because again, it's an energies game. And so we have to find a way to be able to have certain foundational belief systems that that will expand in energies, and then we can talk about our whatever we're bringing in that we think, well, maybe we should consider this, maybe we should consider that, right? Because right now what's going on is that the planned disclosure is moving forward with the plan, while everybody else now they've got fighting. So they're going to move right by with their plan while everybody else is fighting. And no one's recognizing that that is truly what's going on at this moment. And so it was intentional. I hate to say it, groups getting together, darkness was waiting for you to come in there and to destroy and to use their same old tactics of infiltration to, to try and keep these unities from forming. So people, again, this is kind of like a wake up, because you're being passed by right now by the efforts of others to just go ahead and disclose what they want, because this is so disorganized, there's no counter conversation really.
That, and also there's also a concept that's happening out there that Joanna called it being shoved into your big toe. What's actually going on is somebody's having their personality subverted by either a generated altar, or they're reaching into someone's head to get an altar, or it's you feel like, almost like you don't have to think for yourself anymore, or like you don't have to walk or talk for yourself anymore. Things almost seem like it's getting easier. Well, it's an artificial high. And also getting shoved into your big toe. This is what doing in the Hollywood research that I've been doing. This is what happened to Michael Jackson. That's a perfect example of being shoved in your big toe. This has actually been happening at a faster pace right now, where if you're not ready for that, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. And some people, it's not even doing a thing to, I've noticed, but with some, oh yeah, it was even done to me by even some of our allies. And the reason being is that some of them were trying to show me, okay, this is what this feels like. And they did this to a friend of mine as well. This is what this feels like. Be prepared. This is spinning up right now. And if you've gotten hit with this once, if something's trying to do it to you a second time. So they basically gave us the muted version, like almost like a vaccine version of it. And it was like, no, that's creepy. I never want to experience that again. And it was really ugly. And the system out there has been fighting to do it a second time. Like, no, I know when it's ready to hit now. I know what my real personality is. I know when I'm not me. I'm not going to allow this anymore. And that's where people have to know, they got to know exactly who they are so they know what they're not. And that is incredibly important right now. And I always dubbed 2020 the Sea of Ghosts, because the amount of death energy that was around, a lot of ghosts that were being circulated. 2026 seems to be, like I said, the age of discernment. And that's where we are with that. And it is incredibly creepy what is being pumped into people's heads. And some of the stuff that are not you, and if it's either demonic or AI, or if it's a combination of both or anything of that nature. And you have to be very, very prepared to even really know who you are, why you're doing something, who you're doing it with. And we also have another phrase: tighter circle, deeper roots. And when we say that narrows down to who's around you, to basic soul family. And you're essentially, when you enact that spell, it's essentially all that's going to fall away that is not needed in your life or for your highest good at that point.
I have a ton of follow-ups that I want to talk about. We're talking about so much good stuff. One of the things that's really underestimated for the last thousands of years is grounding. Grounding was weaponized by the Rockefeller Initiative in the 1800s, and they found out, this was an occult science that was not taught to the public for the longest time. And they realized that if we can take some of our industrial byproduct, turn it into rubber, we can then prevent humans from grounding. Let's put this rubber on their cars. It fully prevents them from grounding. Let's put concrete under their houses. That cuts off the grounding. So what I'm seeing in all these QHHT sessions that I've done over the last 8 years is a lot of the people are skipping grounding. No one's grounding anymore. Everybody's too busy with their life. Like I work 120 hours a week between 5 jobs, and I am constantly outside with any minute of free time I have. You know what I'm saying? And all I do is just complete, 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 and I still find time for myself. So all these people are always telling me, I don't have time. I can't find the time. Like, how much freaking movie streaming do you watch a day when you get home? You know what I'm saying? Like you're wasting your
Exactly.
freaking life, you know? I got to that point where I realized that I can't even watch streaming anymore because I'm not learning anything anymore and my energetic body's rejecting it because it's all nonsensical distraction.
Yes,
And I find
yes.
myself mainly just on YouTube watching people create stuff because
So
Go ahead.
I'm really glad that you first
Glad you
started
saw
this
that.
with the conversation of something that was in the 1800s. And even prior to that, the one thing I appreciate, first of all, is the recognition that this has been going on for a very, very long time, that it's just people figuring out about it. But I want to give you one exercise because it is true. We are in a concrete jungle. Some people are. I don't want people to think that they can't ground. Okay. I really don't want people to think that because then it's a like, why bother kind of attitude. Don't get that attitude. So I will share something that I hope people will just simply try because, right, people are having to work multiple jobs and do things just to keep a roof over their head. When do they have time? So what I would say is obviously, if you have the ability and the skill to bring plants into your home environment, please do it. Some of those plants into your home will also help you. But sometimes it's an energetic exercise that can be done. And we have to remember that we are energetic beings and we have capabilities. And so if you are in a concrete jungle, okay, you have the ability to mentally put yourself sometimes for a moment, maybe someplace else or right where you are. The key is grounding into the earth. And so if you are sitting on the toilet and you're going to be there for a few minutes, why not take a breath and do an exercise? Close your eyes. And basically, you can be right where you are. But what I say is run the energies. You can feel energies. Most people I start with, can you in your hand create and feel a ball of energy? Can you feel it? Can you feel a spear? Can you do it? Okay, and people are like, yes. And I said, okay, now practice running that energy to your other hand. Can you imagine that? Can you make that happen? And a lot of people are yes. And I'm like, all right, let's start it. Go from your head. Can you feel energies come? Can you push it to your hands, push it back, push it to your feet, push you down? Can you do it? And the answer after a while is always yes. And so then you're right. And then exactly what you just showed. Run those energies through your head, through your arms, through your feet, in deep into the ground, and then allow those energies to come back up through you and then out your arms. Run energies. You must learn because people are living in a concrete jungle. That is one simple way that people can start to do it, and you can do it in a matter of a few minutes. You will feel it. You will feel things then release from you. So while you're sitting on the toilet having 5 minutes, you could actually accomplish a lot for your own personal health. So people have to, instead of thinking, I don't have the time, have to understand that we're not asking for a lot of time. You don't need a lot of time. All you need is a few minutes. And if you can do it several times a day and that have that, that remembrance. Now, I'm going to tell you that everything's going to be done to keep you to not do it because it's that effective, right? So people that are listening that may not be familiar with things, yes, this is an endurance test right now for you. Do you have what it takes? Are you going to take this seriously? Because when we talk about exercises or whatever, you feel it. And you can do this and you can prove it to yourself you can do this. So that would be my only contribution that I wanted to bring up for that conversation, because I never want people to think that it's hopeless. We don't talk about any of this stuff because we feel it's hopeless. But people, again, I talk about this like having a child that constantly throws tantrums. You have to be more stubborn. You have to decide that I am more stubborn than this other stuff, and I am going to feel this, and I am going to create these changes, and I am going to be able to learn how to have conversation that's more unifying. I'm going to do it because I said so. And you have to be more stubborn about it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That I came to find out, if they would put shungite in the shoe rubber, it would fix part of the problem as well. Even though they made the rubber to deground, you can actually have somebody make it as a grounding agent. That's and then shungite shoe inserts, I've noticed, actually help in that area as well. I know, Drago, you had some follow-ups. I didn't want to take up your time.
Oh yeah, right on. Just like you guys are saying, there's so many different technologies we can use for this. Even though I'm so busy all the time, I do live on a lake. And we were talking about birds earlier. Birds represent portals and safety, just like you said, Joanna, and they're surrounding me at all times. Coincidentally, all the remote viewing that's been done, the intuitive speakers that stayed at my house during conferences, they say there's a portal in my backyard on my lake, and everyone sees it, and no one talks about it. There's no conversations about it. They'll just come to my property, they'll see it. So with that comes safety. So the birds always surround me. But some of the things we can, okay, before I get into the other technologies we can use, before we got to this planet, we knew we were light beings. When we put ourselves into physical bodies, we knew that they were electrical in nature. That's what the Rockefellers came in and did. That's why the Anunnaki started affecting that. You know what I'm saying? These concrete jungles, like you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they knew that if we couldn't ground ourselves, it would cause our light body to start arcing. Because if we're a torus field, you have both positive and negative, the anode and the cathode. If you can't ground properly, you're not making a circuit like the torus needs, these counter-rotating forces. You're going to have arcing, you're going to be lashing out, you're going to be irritating, you're going to be full of triggers that you're never going to heal. And the number one source of that most of the time is either not releasing trauma or not grounding. So even though I live in the concrete jungle, when I'm outside, I am standing on the grass with my bare feet. If I catch myself where I don't have the time, I'll take a chair outside. I'll take off my shoes and I'll just sit on a chair while being on my laptop with a client or something like that, just grounding those times. And it all goes even back to solar worship. All these religions practicing solar worship, it's showing you that the sun is giving us these photons of light. And if we don't stay out in the sun getting these photons, these little energetic packets of light, it'll start, our DNA will start breaking down because you have to have these light codes. So grounding is very important. You have to physically ground. You can buy grounding mats, grounding sheets. You can buy RFID blocking paint like lead paint. They outlawed lead paint in the 60s or 70s because they found out that all these technologies that the SSP and black programs were using, the lead was blocking all the signals because it was acting as a Faraday cage. So that's what we need to do as humans. We need to bring back the Faraday cage stuff, bring back the RFID blocking paint, having the grounding sheets. If you're in an office, you don't have an excuse if you can just buy a grounding mat at your office. You can literally sit on your own grounding mat while you're on the computer at your office all day long, and you can ground all day long. It's really not hard. And all these QHHT sessions I've done, that's one of the number one things that comes up is people's not grounding because there's fundamentals to being healthy in these physical incarnations, this holographic matrix. One is grounding. One is forgiveness to stay out of the damn loop. The other self-love. And the other one is making a right. That means when humans, they get stuck in this Groundhog Day. I talk about Groundhog Day constantly because Groundhog Day comes up in every single QHHT session I do, even the ones that you guys are doing, the ones that Amir's doing. We're seeing we have all these habits and we're not breaking our own habits. We keep making a damn left in a loop over and over and over, expecting a different result, thinking Someone's going to come save me from this. I have a better job waiting on the other side. No, you don't. If you don't leave that situation, you're never going to find it. If you're not going to ground, you're not going to be healthy. If you don't love yourself, you're never going to evolve. These are tenets of everything, and they were taught to the secret societies, to the temple priests, like I was in Atlantis. When I was in the Temple of Vedfu, the Temple of Horus in Egypt, I was also a temple priest there. These are these are literal scientific technologies that has been hidden from us. So all the people that want to just blow it off and think grounding is at nothing, you have no idea what you're saying. It is more valuable to your health and your mind and your light body than you can ever imagine.
Exactly, exactly. And something little. If you get a chance and you drive to a beach or someplace, bring some of that sand back, put it in a litter box and stick your feet on it every now and then. So, because again, the physics of how everything works, the energy from there is you just brought that energy back. If you're living in a concrete jungle, be creative on how you bring nature back around you to help you be able to sit there. You will feel it. You will feel it, and it will help strip away some of the things. So I agree, everything that can be done. I think they're starting to realize this in some of the newer cities they're building, where you start to see the plants being encouraged to grow on sides of buildings and things like that, that they're really starting to realize the importance of things like that. Absolutely, 1,000%. And like I said, they've had this knowledge for a very, very long time. They know exactly what they're doing. They know also with testing and whatever, they can get an idea of where people are in their spiritual growth. And then they pull out their plan of how they're going to deground people, for the next run of folks that are trying to pop their head above that top. So absolutely, this is again, like, Dr. Amir, this is exactly what you're saying back to 101. You got to know what's going on. You got to know what they're doing it. You got to tip your hat to the intelligence. I am sorry. These folks are as intelligent as they come. They are one step ahead, more than one step usually. They've created both sides. They're the arsonists and the firemen all in one to control. They do it all. And so, again, not to make people fearful, but when you understand these principles and then find yourself, then they don't have as much of a hold on you. And that's why these conversations are important, not to scare people, but to actually end up empowering people to know. And again, as you were saying, Draco, that's where we use the term that, I always use is circling the toilet. That's just, how do we keep people any way, shape, or form circling the toilet? Exactly. Because we do not want them to expand in their frequencies. And it's exactly what's been going on for a very long time.
The Samsara toilet.
When
they just flush you over and over.
Yeah, they flush you over and over. Yes. Yeah, what I do is if they throw something at me, I have a visualization of their attachments or their energy going down a toilet. I'm always flushing them down the toilet. So like if I see an attachment on somebody, I always go and just flush it. So that's what I do. Or I put it in a box and transmute it. I do a variety of different constructs when I'm doing sessions and everything, but one of the most often I've used is like flushing them. I always say flushing the turds down the toilet. Like if I come across some entity or something like that, that's how I'm transmuting them. But yeah, I've done that. I've done that multiple times. And another area of grounding that I have seen is in Japan. There were two important ones that we saw there. The tatami mats, those things were awesome grounding mats there, and we used that, and also we saw houses were grounded via a copper pipe and a copper wire going to their house where they earthed them, and the whole house turned into a grounding area, and it was actually very, very nice. So I would suggest anybody, if you can't get outside very often, do something like that. But if you have also, like you were saying, Drago, if you have time to just go stream something, you have time to go outside. So that most definitely. And people say again they don't have much time. I'm going, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure you do in the evening at some point. People have said that in sessions with myself. Oh, I don't have time for this. It's like, you have an hour? Yeah. Well, there you go. You have time. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like how much time do you spend at the bar a week
Oh,
distracting yourself with nonsensical pursuits you'll never achieve? You know, it's like I'm glad you brought up the Japanese mats. Japanese people have way better health than most people in the world, and I think one of the reasons they target us the most is they designed modern springs for bed to be a receiver for frequency technology. So they hit us the most when we're sleeping because you are literally laying on a conductive material that is designed to receive information. So think about that. Get rid of your spring mattresses. That was a trap they installed a long time ago because science shows us that springs are not good for the human body, period. You need to get some kind of newer technology or something foam based, but these are basic technologies we're saying, and like people are so lazy, they won't even do it. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of my bed because it cost me $600 or it cost me $1,500 or it's a Tempur-Pedic bed. Who cares? Do you want to live with health, or do you want to say, I want to live in the monetized society where this costs me money, so I'm going to keep it because I can't I can't wrap my mind around getting rid of something so expensive. You know what I'm saying? It's
mhm.
madness. It's like you said earlier,
Yeah.
we're in the dumb society now. We are literally living in the movie Idiocracy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I was like, at some point, I know people, are caught up, with the monetary thing, and I fully understand that. I understand the business aspect side of this. But if you start flowing your energy towards what you're trying to accomplish, it seems that the money is there to accomplish the goal. It may not be over the top amount, but it seems to be there to accomplish whatever goal you're trying to manifest in some fashion or form. So if it's getting a new bed, getting shoes that are more earth, getting things of that nature, I would highly recommend doing that. Like in Arizona, we had our bed there that it wasn't that great either. This one is not that great either. But I've also noticed another way that screws you up, or uh, like we have a leather couch in the other room, but it has an electrical field going through it because it's plugged into the wall, and it's for charging your phone and whatnot. And I we use it to charge our phone. But if I need to shut it off, I do. I take every chance to shut that thing off during the night. And I also with the Wi-Fi. If you don't have any work, like if you're not uploading something or something in the middle of the night or something like that, shut the Wi-Fi off. Uh,
Right.
and
Right.
we do that quite prolifically. But I noticed with the couch, and this is something I really noticed, there was little entities that like to get in there and they wanted to feed off the electrical field. I thought it was really interesting. They'd sit underneath it and just kind of sit cross-legged in there and just absorb the electricity from the couch and sit underneath me. What made them stupid is because I noticed a hand coming up to try to grab me from underneath. So it was like, what the hell is this? And I found out they were feeding off the electricity coming from the couch, and they were also feeding off the fact they were irritating the crap out of me. But at that stage, before I get too far off, the couch was if you have a couch that has an electrical field that goes through it, like if it has to be plugged into the wall, don't bother. Uh,
Ah,
get one that does not have to be plugged into the wall, because if you're sitting and watching TV and that, you're starting to get degrounded from that alone, uh, from those two things. So I've noticed that in very recent days, going, why is this affecting me? And then it dawned on me there's an electrical field going through it. So yeah, I didn't mean to
so,
interrupt you.
Christopher, talking about some of the um, beneficial technologies. So both Drago and I, we've got some of your creations. I've got the Green Man. I love this guy, right? So mm, I keep this next to my bed, and it's a glow in the dark, so it's really beautiful. So I think you've also added frankincense and myrrh in it, so it's a really magnificent creation. Drago's got a Dreamweaver. He was boasting. There we go. Look at
Oh
that
yeah,
bad
there's
boy.
yeah,
Yes.
So I bought two of these from you guys at the Full Disclosure Now conference, and I literally sleep with it every single night, no matter where. Even if I go to another conference or I travel, I bring this in my suitcase. So I'm just letting you know that means something to me. So
oh, thank
whatever
you for that.
whatever apotropaic things you put in it, guys, like It's awesome. You guys should actually find out where are you selling these because you sell these guys very affordably. I was talking about Amir before we got on. I'm
Yeah,
like, look
yeah,
how
yeah,
many
yeah.
crystals and copper and how much work is in this. And I'm
The
like,
work
dude,
that's gone in
it was
that.
so affordable. I bought two and I gave one to a good friend of mine. And I'm like, you know
Oh my
what?
God, yes, same
Buy
thing.
one and buy two for twice the price and give one away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I know we normally have them on our Etsy store. I'd removed some recently because we're going to be doing a psychic fair, but I can put them back up on the Liftings Etsy store very easily.
The
So,
lifting. So that's where people can find you on Etsy. Ladies
yeah.
and gentlemen, just freaking do it. Christopher, you
Oh.
gotta take their money already. And because it's worth every single penny.
Yeah, we
They,
also sell
they work.
coins too, and like so
We
that kind of
to try something different, and we were
Yeah.
really surprised
yeah,
at
we do.
how energetic
Yeah,
some of these
these are
things
great.
are. We tried to put some certain energies within them with certain thought processes and different
Yeah.
things, and we were really
Yeah.
kind of surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
we're
So
trying, everything we try to do, we want to have some sort of meaning or energetics that people can really feel it, feel what's really going on with it. And again, I hope 150 years from now, some of the things we're working on are no longer needed, that people have learned to just do this on their own. But right now, where we are in society, people do need help. And I would think one of the simplest things that I would tell people to do that are down and out right now and not feeling good, two things: black stones and yellow stones. The reason I say yellow stones is that go out, go to a stone place, spend $10, buy yourself a couple. And again, they vibrate the frequency of happiness and joy. And so you need to take some of that time you're carving out for yourself. You need to hold on to them. Just let your mind drift and see what happens. And what are you starting to think about? The goal would be, and I always try this out on people. And some people, again, are like, I'm thinking of cats, or I'm thinking of, well, it's things that bring them joy, that they get happy when they see. And so, whatever that would be. So people need to bring joy back into their life because people have forgotten what that frequency feels like. Sometimes stones can again help remind you what is that frequency, and then you learn to be able to shift yourself back into that frequency. Stones can help you do that. The other thing I think is, again, why is black so good? A lot of black gives
that's a
out
transmuter.
a
Yeah,
transmuter and a protective type. So again, like for Draco's dream catcher, he was really big on wanting some heavy duty protection as well, which is why he chose the one he did.
Yeah.
So there's purpose behind these stones. And again, the goal is to set their energies in motion so that you can feel them. And at some point, down the road, the goal is that Draco just can, without that, put himself and keep himself where he needs to be. But right now, it's very difficult. And so these things that we try to make energetically serve a purpose, to help people try to make the space that they're in more conducive to their personal growth that they want.
Yes. So, I mean, I suppose Drago and I could testify the devices work. What principles and what good wisdom you've put into it, I'll let that be your trade secret. But as far as it goes with effectiveness, there is a noticeable improvement. So I would strongly encourage people to investigate. Again, you guys sitting there so humbly, just sitting there looking pretty, like nothing's going on. Yeah, these guys are the real deal. So, ladies and gentlemen, take advantage. With also healing and let's say advice, genuine advice, I strongly recommend these beautiful people. So. What else? What else? We've talked about grounding.
I want to tell people
yes,
to
please.
practice something really important right now. You can look at our videos, we talk about protection or whatever, but when we talk about grounding, what we talk about is being in the current present moment, okay? And so being in your current present moment, when you are really there, you're going to feel something different. So I like people to practice this, to notice this, so that they can keep themselves into current present moment, because it's very important these days. So like, for example, during this conversation, I think everyone sitting here is doing the best they can to be in the current present moment of the company that we are in.
Yes.
And supporting and caring for one another, having genuine, authentic conversation of what we feel about something, right? And listening, trying to contribute, right? Currently here. So I need for you guys to understand that that feels a certain way in your body. First of all, your mind will quiet. If you are in the current present moment, all of those 50,000 chores and things that you got running into your mind will quiet, because you are going to only be here. The other thing I need to tell you is, this is going to sound weird, but it's true. When you are being your genuine, authentic self, participating in something, your mind may be, you think it's thinking, but the truth of the matter is your mouth may be speaking, but your energies are coming from this center. So your mind is literally a lot of times at its most quiet. You're speaking words that are coming out this energetic way. Yeah. And so when you are in that space, which is so important now to be your genuine, authentic self, to be in the current present moment, engaged in no matter what you're doing, right? Be it you're at work, it's important to be in your current present moment there. You may think that I don't have a great job, but interacting with other human beings is part of the reason you're here. And it is important to be grounded, even in that, in your current present moment self. People respond to it. They know that you're listening. They may not understand why they know, because they're feeling the energies that you're putting off, and they're responding accordingly to also hopefully be engaged in their current present moment self. It is an energy, an exercise in energy and energy movement. That's what we're all here trying to do. Hopefully it unifies and coalesces and moves us in a direction that most of us want to go in. But that exercise I want you to pay attention to is, when you choose to engage in your current present moment self, you will feel things leaving your body differently than mind speak. And you need to understand that and work towards that.
So perhaps you should key the term heart speak, because we've got the mind speak, and then we had Dolores Cannon with the soul speak, and now we've got Joanna with heart speak. So that's yours, and that's so beautiful. And I'm getting goosebumps all over as well. Okay, this is good. We patented something, and the copyright is all yours. Heart speak, yes, being in the heart. Looking also at alchemy, energy transmutation, the heart really is the center. So if you can be at this vibration of the heart level, also corresponding with consciousness, it's so many things in that one beautiful exercise. Wonderful, beautiful. Heart speak it is.
Yeah, I think before we proceed to the next subject, I think we need to set a foundation about who you guys are, because we haven't talked about that one time yet. And we're talking about you guys making technologies, healing technologies and stuff. If people don't know your background, it's kind of hard to look into someone who they don't know anything about. So you guys started the lifting together about 10 years ago, back in 2017, and you got into psychic mediumship, remote viewing, channeling, healing, and just whistleblowing in general, creating that podcast to interview these people in this kind of stuff. So how does all this work tie together? Because again, remote viewing, psychic stuff. How did you guys get the information where you figured out that you can actually imbue intention or create these technologies? That's the most important part.
Yeah, what I started out with, even though over time we've noticed that our information has evolved since then, and so some of the beings that we associated with in that time frame we don't really anymore. But there are some beings that have come to us that have shared, technological wisdom or like spiritual wisdom. But at the same time, I'm getting it mainly from memory, from places that I've actually been either from SSP side or past life side or some kind of soul memory. Or in other areas, I've noticed I'm getting information from the multiverse as well. I'm getting things from different spots in the multiverse. So what's most important in this, though, like say with the Tower Busters, when I created those, I actually was getting the blueprint from another existence where I actually had that information, where I actually was able to make like jammers that the other negative ETs couldn't see past, things of that nature. I was utilizing that information, and also interacting with different beings that still possess that information brought more tweaks and improvements through. And over time, I've actually been able to boost like some of the power of some of the Tower Buster formula to accommodate some of the revving up of the we'll just say the Matrix, quote unquote, that has been going on recently. So where I've been getting also some of the galactic historical information, or where we have, is again from a version of ourselves that existed in that time frame. So also through channeling, there's different beings that give different information, but it's from their perspective. That's what I want to emphasize. It's always from their perspective. I get it also. I basically try to tune it to mine to see if it jives with what we actually can intuit about it. So in short, where I'm getting the technological information from is from myself and versions of myself. And also, basically, any tweaks that any beings that are truly benevolent with no conflicting agendas want to contribute to the conversation. Also, starting back in 2017, we wanted to make sure we got our information out there of what we were bringing through. Even though it wasn't as, say, accurate as what we do now, we fine-tuned it more in this time frame. We had to have a foundational place to start. What we understood at the time, we wanted to bring forward, and we wanted to also interview other people that also wanted to do the same thing
So
and
we
run the
had
same
one
wavelength.
basic question. Chris obviously born into a family of known psychics. I probably had family members that had some spidey senses, but it was more unspoken about, let's just say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and I think a lot of people may have certain spidey senses that you're not born into the world knowing what to do with them. And most people just would never talk about them because no one wants to be told that they're crazy, right? So you have all this, but what we decided and everything, seeing everything that was going on, we both had one arching question. And it really was, kind of like, what's really going on here? And it really was as simple as that. What is really going on? ... Meaning, for whatever reason, we were in a place that we felt like we were just born to question everything and to want to know what is in whatever subject matter, let's just say. Now, we obviously, what is from our origin. Most everybody, I'm sure, who's going to watch this has seen the show Ancient Aliens. How do you move a stone that big, right? So we all see things that make you question, and and so our goal was to could we help people by trying to answer whatever subject in these arenas, what is? And then we had to quickly come up to understanding that, oh my gosh, it's not just benevolence and there's a game being played, right? And what do we need to know and how do we need to grow through it? And again, very quickly learned we're who we've been waiting for, and there is no savior, and different things like that. That became some of our foundation of what started us on our journey.
That, and also before I met her, I was back when I was a teenager back in the 90s. I was already doing things like a little bit of channeling, a little bit of automatic writing, talking to beings back then. Fast forward to 2009 is when I got hurt. Is when I got hit by a car, and as a pedestrian, and I was clinically dead for over an hour. And when I came back from the spirit world, I'd seen things or people there that I knew. Yeah, I was in a forest clearing, conversing with people for a couple of weeks. And what happened was they said, "Okay, you have to go back now." I went back, and it had been like an hour here. And I noticed months after all the pain period was done, I noticed that I had been rewired a little bit. Came to find out being hit by the car was actually a targeting because of the SSP information, because
Same thing.
in 2008 was the end of technically the end of the 20 and back cycle, because I went in 1988 as a child. So what they did in 2008, they figured, okay, he's hitting the end of this cycle. We don't want him remembering anything. We're going to try to kill him. What happened was it was actually spirit that intervened and other beings that intervened, and I was actually able to not. I got severely hurt, but I didn't actually stay dead. So, I found out much later that that was a targeting, and a very severe one. We've gotten ones from a distance, and we've gotten some military things that have shown up. We even had DoD come to our door once, but other than that, we haven't had that kind of level of it since that time frame. I didn't realize they were trying to prevent me from remembering crucial information, and they were going to actually try to take my soul and recycle me back into the projects. And so Spirit stepped in at that point. But the whole point I'm trying to make is that some of my origin points that I haven't really, or origin stories, so to speak, that I haven't really spoken about at length. I'm willing to do a show on it at some point, but yeah, it went from 1988 to 2008 was where that version of me was cycled back to 1988 from that point in the time travel project. So past that point, they were afraid I was going to slingshot all of it into the present day and remember all of it. So they tried to delay me a while, remembering by causing a lot of pain and a lot of misery. But eventually it started to come to me that all these things had happened, and what their worst fears was they were trying to stop actually came to pass. So the more I've noticed that I remember of those times of why they were harassing me, it provides me with a weapon against them. And then getting into why I do sessions is exactly the same thing. So where entities are harassing, or if something's posing as an entity, or if they have V2K doing things to somebody, or if they have there's ghosts doing something, it's all some kind of henchman somewhere that's doing something, and it's all the same situations that have popped up. I was wondering why I had such a drive to do that, and it was actually coming from a place of memory because somebody had done it to me. So at some point, and I was actually trying to prevent it from happening other places. And essentially, that's what the soul came in here to do. That's essentially part of my origin. The SSP thing is a big twisted clusterfuck, let's just say. But at the same time, that was a distortion that ended up being in the way of me getting the information that came before it.
Yeah.
Dude, I had an existential moment about 3.5 minutes ago when you said that you entered in, what did you say, 86, and then it was 2006?
It was 1988 to
88, 2008.
Yeah.
The moment you said that, you could see my head go this. I went, oh my God, because they abducted me in 85 when I was 5, and my bike crash was in 2005.
Yep, that's exactly
20 years. I was just like,
yeah, because it was
is that a pattern?
Yeah,
if we can figure out that that's a pattern with other experiences, we just literally broke the pattern by you saying that with it happening to me too. I was like, my mind's blown.
Because now it's anchored into, let's say, the public library, the Akashic records. And so therefore that form of fuckery, excuse my French, that is now no longer a thing. Now, Christopher, something interesting. You said spirit intervened. You are that spirit. So other aspects of you coming in and preventing the death or erasion.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And that goes back to what Joanna was saying. There is no savior. We're the savior. And it just reinforces the immense strength that we have. And this is one of my copyright terms. I call us the mighty human. Because look at the brilliance, genius, and sophistication of what has been used against us. Once you go into the nitty-gritty, it's not just advanced, it is beautiful. And you got to kind of tip your head, oh my God, you evil bastards, this is beautiful. But then it's like somebody at the foot of a dam, sometimes they open the base of the dam to get the pressure relieved, and somebody's trying to just hold all the water with the palms of their hands. So that's their impossible task. And so, with a little bit of awareness, these basic but highly effective techniques, we pop, we awaken like many times. I mean, all the present company, all of us here, we've broken the code many times over. Ascended out, and then we get bored and we come right back in. Guess what? It's so much fun down here in this crazy dumpster fire we call the Matrix or the 3D Earth. And so, this is really the point. I think us coming together, sharing this wonderful energy of consciousness, heart speak, is going to benefit many others. These
Good, I
simple
hope so.
techniques, yeah, this
Good.
is the intention. And so let us be the change that we wish to see. No quabbling, no low vibrational stuff. Just honoring what the other has to bring, listening, evaluating, and then, with this kind of stuff, that middle line that you talked about, we find out, okay, we've all been tapping into that same stream of truth, and maybe the last few steps get translated differently, but we are more similar than different. So, wow, I wasn't expecting this for this interview. This is so cool.
So Chris, I just realized when Amir confirmed it was you saving yourself, that's exactly what happened to me when they did a containment reset. That's what the SSP actually calls it when an asset starts acting out or acting up or breaking their programming, starts to talk, starts getting unauthorized memories because according to the SSP, our memories do not belong to us because we are a product and a product has no rights. We are not considered human beings because we're hybridized. So we're part human and part patent. We're part of product. So that makes us like Homo sapiens, sapiens. But the other term in the SSP is you're referred to as revenant class. Revenant class is a being who survives multiple containment resets and they keep coming back. So at a certain point, they stop trying to kill you because they start seeing that you keep coming back and the containment reset's not working. Because I was waking up in 2004, right before my motorcycle crash, before they literally killed me, and that was my crash was the result of me waking up. When I say that I got a lot of the memories from my bike crash, everybody keeps saying that, but no one's listening to me when I say that I got a lot of these memories right before it happened. I was getting them big time. And the moment I came back, that shit just started flooding in. It's part of my intro. I give my entire, all my experiences in 60 seconds in my intro on my podcast. And it shows all that. But Revenant class are some of the most extremely hard to kill beings in the universe because our spirit exists outside of these matrix controls. And no matter how much they can control us, we're just more powerful than them. And that also tells me you might be considered Omega class because Omega class hybrids, Omega class mutants, those are what the X-Men uses as the top tier, like Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey. These are people who have meta powers that exceed normal program people powers. And those people, their energy exists so high in hierarchy outside of this matrix. That's why a lot of the containment resets don't work. So they'll just take people like us and they'll just imprison us. If they can't kill us, they'll imprison us in a loop, like Amir's done some remote viewing on me. And we found out that I've been kept in a loop. I've been confirmed this with the Draconians in numerous QHHT sessions, even ones I've published on YouTube, that they've kept me in a loop the last 20,000 years on Earth for what I did to them and how I infiltrated the Draconians at the highest level. They've been punishing me. And because of that, I've been in the SSP for what I'm seeing with remote viewing and QHHT sessions, anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 years, and 20 in backs, 60 in backs, a here, 3 years there, one altar there, a fractal shard here, all at once. Yeah. So this is way more convoluted than we signed up for. It's way more, just like you said, man, there's not a word that sums up the SSP except Dolores, the convoluted universe.
Yeah, I happen to agree 100%. And also where they kept whenever I would encounter any military forces, even in recent with V2K and everything, they would use the term unauthorized memories. They use the term constantly.
Yeah.
And I said, who are you to determine what's unauthorized? And I said, I determine that, not you. And they laugh at me and everything, but they're too chicken shit to try anything in person, essentially. So now there have been some friends of mine and I that we've been taken a couple of times, but we've always noticed they follow the same repetitious pattern if they attempt this. They either drug us or do something to where we can't do anything psionically against them, or they just sneak around hoping that I'm not going to notice them. I have a red alert that goes off in my brain if I'm asleep, if somebody's in the room, or some kind of alien or somebody's around. But yeah, I've noticed that every time, even if I get way down in the gutter, there's like this instant, not necessarily a program reset, but there's a version of myself that reboots and basically says, no, this is not the way. You're different than what they're doing to you. Now I'm going to reset their reset, and that's where my higher self comes in and starts to basically reset their reset.
Yes.
And I've noticed this time and again, no matter what trickery they do, what cruel things they do, I've noticed there's this weird drive, and she's noticed this in the background where I constantly go back to a factory reset, which is my own and not theirs, and it pisses them off to no end when I'm able to do this. And it usually happens fairly quick. She's always asking me, well, if you're so depressed about something, why don't you stop? And then I stop for a second and go, it's not necessarily a verbal thought. It's more of a something that kicks it back into gear going, oh, this is they're trying to do a programming reset on their end. I'm doing a reset of myself. Now the question's been posed. So yeah, that what you said, Drago, that actually makes sense of that. And when I was 3, I was taken. My father and I were taken by some ETs up to a craft with a bunch of people. At that time, we didn't know what was going on. 5, again, I was taken by military to prep me for what happened when I was 8, which was SSP, time travel program. So yeah, I noticed that all of these things, even though the SSP is treated by the soul as more of a distortion against what you actually need to get from before that, you still have to go through this in order to basically rectify that distortion. So you have to look at it like you're looking into a dark mirror. You have to actually look at it, or you're never going to defeat their programming at that point. So you basically have to claw your way out of it. I didn't recognize
Well, and recognize their patterns. So
recognize the patterns.
They use the same methods because they were effective. They weren't creative where they did this different things to different people. It's the same mechanisms used over and over and over again to set trip wires for people when they hit a certain space of expansion. The trip wire is triggered to bring in a circling the toilet behavior. Right? Until you hopefully can pick yourself back out of it and switch the flip again. But it's that's what causes it. I don't know of, and this is where spirit comes in again. They knew who the people were going to be that they needed to put a lot of tripwires in.
Absolutely.
They could tell from their energetics, they could tell from this, that, and the other, who would be the ones that they could easily more, keep at that line, and who were going to be the ones that kind of put their head above. They already knew it. So when anybody was brought back, the tripwires were inserted. Unfortunately, along with some of those tripwires were dialogues, memories that aren't real. So it's a very delicate and difficult situation for all of this. And Chris and I didn't talk about it for a very long time because we always prided ourselves on having, like I said earlier, about how do you know when you're in the current present moment, right? How can you feel it? We always like for people to have an answer. the only thing we can say about it now is what I'm saying about this process of working through tripwires and the resetting. When a tripwire, how quickly can you reset yourself to continue to expand? You're going to hit another one.
Yeah.
You hope you're going to switch. Hopefully the goal is that you're able to recognize it and flip the switch more quickly.
Yeah.
Because you're getting used to the pattern.
Yeah.
But the pattern exists. And it's pretty much been done. And that's where, again, the healing and the conversation of what we're having, that this exists, that this pattern of doing this to people, inclusive of a lot of false memories, to cause problems, to cause you to think you were doing something you weren't going to do, to maybe entice you to want to stay there. Because it's like, I really feel like I'm superhuman now and I'm going to stay there. And it's a completely false memory.
Yeah.
But anything that they can do to cause these tripwires, okay? So that's again why I say we're fighting about the details. Forget the details. Go for the general line. Because the details may not even be real. Because they're good at what they do. You've got to tip them. They know what they're doing. They know how to program people. They know how to put people back. They know how to cause tripwires. They know how to do all of this. So let's find a way to recognize that and bring it into your consciousness that this is existing and you're not exempt from it. You're not exempt. And then how do we get the common thread to be a part of our foundational belief system and understanding so that we can work through that too. So as a group, exponentially grow energies in a positive way for individual healing, for healing of society, for moving thing in a benevolent way that we want. Because right now they want people to keep tripping and keep arguing so that you do nothing but this and move and go nowhere as their agenda passes you by.
Yeah, the crazy making, that spiral, the Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail. Now, it's wonderful that we've come to this because many of these conditions, I mean, looking at it from a, let's say, spiritual or magical point of view, these are mechanisms built out of time. And so if it gets broken, it is broken everywhere. And although they have been optimized for the human form, they are highly effective. Once one brave, powerful soul breaks out of it, the whole thing comes crumbling down.
I'm being hit with something right now. I'm just letting you guys know. They're hitting me really hard. It's coming in from the right side. That's really interesting. It's coming in right now. It's very heavy. It's not so heavy most of the time. That's interesting. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. What I did is I just curled it up like it was like it was like a vine that was coming up, and I just flung it off in that direction. I put a mirror up. I put a mirror up in front to bounce it back. That's usually how I get rid of those signals coming out. If your ear starts ringing, I just form a mirror and bounce it back at them. And then, yeah, it just looks like it's just a pretty much a signal that looks almost like if you could see what a signal looked like. It has almost like this weird viney like appearance, and it was going right for the right ear. Right there is what it looked like. I could actually see that when it was coming up to you there. So,
it would hit me and it slapped me. It's still there. What I like to do instantaneously is I say, I only react to constructive suggestions, return to sender times 1,000 with prejudice. So if it's coming in, it's positive, I reflect that times 1,000 back to you, amplifying that love energy. If it's malevolent, I am literally sending it back, and I send a mirror spell. I don't let it in, and I automatically bounce it back instantaneously. It's always mirrored. My light body, I always mirror it.
Right. Beautiful. And again, it doesn't mean you won't feel the pressure of the trying.
Totally.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The moment it happens, instantaneously, you have to set up your barrier and you got to push it out and send it back every time. You got to do it every day. You can't just set up an intention and you're good. This is a daily battle. We're in the matrix. Agents are everywhere. Agent Smith, they're going to hit you every time you let your guard down. Every time you're distracted, they're going to hit you, man. So when it hits, you send that fire back. I will see them dissolving into nothingness, just like Amir does. He will take them, put them in a pocket dimension, then he will require a divine audit, and then he sets the contents on fire ablaze. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to keep messing with people like us, odds are, man, we're way more powerful than the people coming at us from behind the scenes. These government oracles, these remote viewers. One thing I don't tell people publicly is remote viewers come to me constantly,
Yeah.
and I never ever let them know I can see them or I know they're there. What I'm doing is I am accumulating a list of people, and some of these people are really famous. They're known podcasters, they're people in the SSP. They're trying to get into my private life. They're trying to really dig into my stuff without permission. So when these remote viewers are coming, I see them and I'm going to play fucking stupid. So if you guys keep it up, you're just being put on my list, and this list is private. And
Well,
just
I
let
laugh
these
Thank you.
people
because
know there are consequences for actions, and just because I'm being all love and light does not mean in the end that I won't be. So we
Yeah,
have to protect
right.
exactly.
ourselves. We can't be nice. We can't be complacent. We have to fight back with prejudice because everybody's taught like the love and light movement. It's just like send them kitten kisses and rainbows, like me and Amir say all the time. You can't kitten kiss and lick your way out of something that powerful. You have
Yeah,
to
exactly.
destroy them. You have to show them what you will do to them. When these draconians come to me during my hypnosis sessions, they are in a ton of my sessions, literally standing in front of the client in front of me. And I battle them. I'm posting these on YouTube of me fighting them. And they are scared the crap. They are scared of me because on the highest level, I'm a dragon. And they know it because if they keep messing with me, man, there are consequences on a higher level. And one time I came across this Commander Draconian and I said, just because I'm not in a position as this feeble, weak human in this matrix where some of my powers are taken away, have you ever thought of that my draconian side that outranks you? You don't think I put in motion that I'm coming after you? That I will remove you from the draconian history, that I will put you in a pocket universe of torture as long as I want? I even have them remote view my box. My box is an entrainment unit where I keep souls in it. The souls that are really freaking bad and the ones that really anger me, I put them in the phantom zone and I keep it with me. Not here as Drago. I'm talking about my draconian side. That's not my higher self. My higher self is a dragon. I infiltrated the draconians after they invaded Lyra, and this was what I made an agreement to do. I had to give up my life in Lyra so everyone else can get away. And then I told the royal court, I will infiltrate the Draconians at the highest level and I will learn their ways and I will bring it back to our people. And they've made my life a living hell since. And I'm to the point now, I'm fighting back. I don't care
So
what they do to
you
me.
brought something up that's really important, not just for yourself, but for others to understand. Is it in this expression, like I said, when we think about how long this expression, and many of us have been around a long time experiencing this expression, okay, as you're saying, and you decided to take, I'm going to call it, to understand it, you took a walk on the dark side. Many of us took walks on the dark side as a part of our experiences to understand it, so that now we can go back up into our library, unify, use it, and do whatever to have what is our soulful rights, which is to have the experience of we went down the toilet first.
Yes.
And now we want to see what it is like to be able to work our way up out of the toilet back into the unity of where we started. So many people, because everyone wants to only think they were ever love and light. And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. You got, okay, you're halfway there. Now you got to go experience the other half, right? So it's not a true statement, and there's purpose behind it. Because like I said, my way of explaining it is that we are here, boots on the ground in this expression, to forward the energies and to, when we leave, hand the baton off to someone else who will forward it more for the experience and understanding of what it is to grow through something. And so in order to be effective at doing these things, we have to, number one, have experienced what we say we're not now to understand it. And then number two, we have to be strong enough. Okay. And many people that were in the SSP were beaten so that their bodies were strong enough to bring in more energies than it would normally handle in order to move this forward in a way. So what you have to do is you have to know the tricks of the trade. You've got to know all of the strategies that are going on. You got to, again, understand it enough so you can stop playing in the sandbox with things you don't want to play with anymore, so you can focus more on what it is we're trying to do. And so,
because otherwise, how else would you know? How else would you know?
Right. And so, but the goal is, that's why I say, getting back to the very beginning, how important it is for you to stay grounded in the current present moment. You learn to grab information from what I say is your perceived higher self, although it's not, right? Because this body can only handle so much in it. But what we are learning to do is to be masters of the movement of energies, the type of energies that then our avatars have the experience within. And that is what this is all about. So yes, because I do the exact same thing that you do. I'm like, okay, we're not getting along here. Okay, you don't want to move out of my way. Okay, well, let me get a bigger part of myself that will tell you that you better move out of my way. And the difference is, and I say this for girls especially more than guys, is that this is when you better believe what you're saying. This is a no negotiation learning of moving of energies. It is going to go the way I said it without exception because I fucking said so kind of energy, right? And I'm hoping that people can feel it that I'm sending. Why? Because I said so and I have the ability to move it. Do you get it?
That's how I treat the Draconians when they come in. That's how I talk to them. I
That's
got
how I
tired
talk
of
to
being
them,
nice
too.
all these years, and I'm like, you know what? You guys just set a chain of actions because you attack me so much. I'm going to do stuff to you. You're not going to see none of it coming. You're not going to see nothing coming.
It's an energy game. And so as much as I can do, pull that pendulum swing of energy, I can be the most loving and kind to my fellow human because the goal is that we're going to have this experience. Yay. Love kids, love pets, love all these people. But Lord knows if you make me go the other way, my pendulum will spin just as wide and hard. And it is immovable, that energy, because I have the backing of myself.
Correct.
That is here to help me learn to do
And
that.
I always say, basically, I just show and also them envision like a moon or a planet just vanishing. You know, it's like things of that nature. You know, I basically say what the one of the funniest incidences, that I tell people about though is. Some people get disgusted when I say this, but I was going to say this. When we were in Las Vegas, I was sitting in our hotel room and I see this Gray trying to come in and try to do stuff and everything. Like he was physically there. He just walks through the wall and everything. I'm like, you didn't do this. And I said, okay, here are the ground rules about, I know this city's full of aliens. I understand this. There will be no abductions. And you know why there's not going to be any abductions while we're here? Because you get a Gray coming in here doing anything. I don't care what it is they're there to do. I'm going to disembowel them and paint their entrails all over the inside of the building, elevator shaft and everything, forensic evidence everywhere. And then I'm putting the body on the concierge's desk down on the ground floor. As soon as I did that, I could hear other aliens around going, this guy's insane. We're going to leave him alone, and I was describing every single little nasty thing I was going to do. Not one problem after that. So I've noticed that now there were kind beings that we spoke to out there, but other than that, I have the same thing on this property. I have the same ground rules. And for also the good beings that show up, I hold them in the highest respect, but at the same time, I always say, if there's things that are following you here, following them here, I always ask that they keep them at bay and not allow them to flood into our space too, like if they're being tracked, so clean up that aspect of it. I clean up mine, they clean up theirs. That's usually a ground rule I have with good beings that are around. That's why I keep the circle small. because then those beings actually go with that. But yeah, I agree. I agree, Drago. Yeah, I have the same ultimatum against Draco or any other being that tried to invade our space.
And so part of, I think, the purpose, and we're all sitting here talking about it, of part of what we are all trying to do in a bigger, higher perspective is teaching people that energy movements exist, that frequency is the key, and moving our expression and experience into something we want to do versus something we don't want to do is an energy exercise. And you have to learn how to maneuver it and move it and make things happen. That's why, even as simple as I said, can you feel a ball in your hand? That's where it starts. Can you feel a ball in your hand? That people have to understand all of this and then start demanding with their own intention that energies are going to start to run a certain way. Now, does that mean that everybody's meant to be a millionaire? Of course not. It's not, that is not what really life and experience is really about. You can take nothing with you minus the experience and the accomplishment of the growth of your energetics. That's the only thing, folks, you're taking with you. So everything else, it's not, necessarily about that. Now, does everyone deserve to be comfortable? Yes, and that's a societal issue. So where's your energy on that? Is it only about you, or should it be for society as a whole? Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we have to understand and have to work through, but the same intensity, Draco, that you were just talking, that I hopefully hope people felt it when I was trying to do it, that people understand that energetics and those frequencies are meaningful and a part of what we are here to grow, learn, and experience, to force our will of what we want to happen versus allowing someone else to continue with the brathood that they are in and not wanting to give up where they're at.
Beautifully said. Yes. The knowing that we have access to divine wrath, righteous divine wrath, and this is shown in the form of deities like Mother Kali, which Joanna, you most certainly are an aspect of. That righteous energy where a mother comes to anger and says, "You do not mess with my children." What could be more powerful? It is benevolent, it does not harm the innocent, and it is absolutely conclusive. And it exists in the masculine form too, the Vajrakilaya. So our ancestors were aware of these, especially versions of our ancestors who experienced ascension. This is a necessary part, that as a spark of divinity, as a drop from that mighty ocean, we deserve to be treated with reverence and respect, and that we absolutely have the right to live with dignity, to survive and to thrive. And if something else wants to intentionally harm us or turn the mighty human into a frickin' hamburger or an all-you-can-eat buffet, that is not on. And this is built into every single mighty human.
Yeah, I agree completely. But there have been a few of these days where they've beaten every living crap out of me, especially this past week. It's been pretty bad, and so then there's always that other larger side. You said the mightier side of me that goes, "Wait a minute, what are you doing? Shut up, stop complaining, all this other stuff." So yeah, I've heard that in my head for a little bit. I was thinking, okay, is this an alter that I'm hearing and any of that? And I was like, no, this is just another aspect, basically saying, stop this. This isn't the real person. All that, you gotta reground all of this. And I came to realize that is the core program of the real individual that is actually trying to rewrite any rewrites coming from another source is really what it is.
That we all have to deal with and understand it's a part of this, that we're all experiencing these struggles. No one's mastered anything yet. We are in the learning class right now. And but we need to have faith. For me, it gives me great comfort to know a few things. Well, first of all, we don't die. So that's kind of cool. You don't die. You might as well give it your all, right? You don't die. And, secondly, that there could really be something really impressive, that we are all here, boots on the ground at this current present moment in time, trying to pass a baton forward of, learning about ourselves, how we individually co-create, how do we coalesce those energies, together in order to cause an expansion again of the experiences that we want for ourselves and future generations. It's not a little deal. You're not a little deal. You're a big deal covered in a lot of muck that needs to be dusted off. You need to learn about it, not be afraid of it, understand it, and then move forward in the direction we all have in common. Another unity that we all have in common. And yes, we can do it. You just have to know how much manipulation has you thinking of something else.
Mhm.
Chris, I think one of the most important things that people, if they don't know who you are, is demonstrating your psychic or remote viewing abilities. Now, when this frequency came in, I was feeling the probe, and I was watching you, and I was watching you look into them the entire time. I never even took my eyes off you, and I kept seeing you probe for additional information. So why don't you tell the people, what was this hit on me?
At first, I thought it was just a signal, but it looked like some kind of parasite that was actually technological in nature. It looked like semi-organic technological in nature. It seemed almost like, if not necessarily like a squid or octopus, it looked more like like if you saw the movie The Matrix, where they had like those, like the spider,
Sentinels.
yeah, with with the little sentinels. That's what it looked like. It's something of that nature, but smaller. And
It was
it
pretty
was more like,
powerful.
yeah. Yeah, what I did was is I grabbed a hold of it and I took it and visualized. I take a visualization and I shove it into a box. In this case, a real simple one people can use, just use the ghost trap from Ghostbusters. And I just go and I just shove it in there. And I just basically visualize myself shoving it into the wall and then and disintegrating it, in like in the movies. So that's one of the constructs I use, but I switch a ton of them up, like boxes, cubes, toilets. I've done that. I've used a lot of those. And what that was doing was information gathering, but also at the same time was trying to put a bug in your ear to either mess up or say something that you shouldn't say, things of that nature. But you didn't fall for it, obviously. But it was also gathering information to actually bring back to, what source is that? Looks like a military source, but also a draconian one at the same time. It's a military group that's working with reptilians and a couple gray groups. I can't tell exactly what direction it's coming from, but that's essentially who created that one. It's essentially a probe that's a semi-sentient probe that gathers information. Some of them are orbs. A lot of them I've seen these little tic tacs and orbs too. But that organic kind, that's a fusion between some draconian tech and human tech. There,
Thank
that's
you
what that is.
for actually helping protect me during that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you on your end too, because I
We
noticed you were
need the
doing
protection.
something. Hmm?
You noticed, I said we need the protection. And you said you was noticing what?
I was noticing that you were doing the same on this end as well. You were though. I want to tell one thing to your viewers as well. I've had a pretty bad day today, and I noticed there was a version of you and you, Amir, as well, talking to me in a wooded area, and both of you were disintegrating some altar that was forming, and now I'm okay again. So I was actually severely unbalanced before I came on here. So. Uh, and I just fight to do whatever the task is, despite what's going on. But we were just in a wooded area. We had just been walking in the woods before coming on the show. So I noticed that there was a version of both of you there, like disintegrating this other altar, for lack of a better word.
I love
But
it
yeah,
because it really is
yeah.
a simple vision that everything is happening all at once. You know what I mean? People coming together, like-minded as to help each other. And so, although it seems out of time sequence and it's all happening at once, everybody just trying to care for and support each other right now, however that should be. And do you see what I mean? Looking at time all as once at the same moment.
Hmm. Yeah, and also right now, Drago, there is something else watching it at the
Oh, I
moment. I can't.
know. Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah,
I'm
I've been
sensing
looking at it.
there's at least 30 viewers right now, and we're not even live, we're not even published yet.
Oh, no. Yeah, we get this
Yeah,
all the time.
and yeah, I put dark mirrors up in front of them and just go. Hang on, let's get.
But there's another way. Because I mean these things, they are crunchy and they taste good with ketchup. So yes, you slice them up and turn them into sushi, and then you use them as nourishment. Like, please, I don't even have to go hunting. Thank you, stupid. Come again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the remote viewers, you heard him. You taste good with ketchup. So
yeah.
I know you're hearing me at the moment. So that's there's also a probe to your right there, Drago. Hang on. There we go. It was something that was thought if it stood still long enough that my vision was based on movement, like a T-Rex or something. And I was like, no, I can see you. It just sat there like this, like a creeper. And there were some of the
Yeah.
remote viewers were kind of,
No, 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 nothing happening here. Nobody can
yeah,
see.
You
yeah.
saw
It's
my
like the
eyes
mouse.
closed. I was actually burning the shit out of it with the dragon fire while y'all were talking.
Yep.
I was just like, you guys are toast. I'll put ketchup on that burnt toast. I don't
Oh
give.
yes, ketchup. Mwah.
I love that. Yeah, those remote viewers. Most of those were military based. I could see
Yeah.
that. Uh,
They're
but
they're
I'm not
definitely
sure.
oracles. They're military oracles. That's their sole purpose is to monitor these transmissions and to manipulate, to take down transmissions, to make us. They constantly hit me in my train of thought. So the side effect of me having a traumatic brain injury, actually, not only did I die in that bike crash, I woke up with extreme traumatic brain injury, and it never went away. So if my thoughts, they go away instantaneously. If I try to hold a thought, it'll just disappear as if it was nothing. And
Mhm.
that's how they hit me the most. I'll be saying like unveiling stuff, next level stuff, and then boom, I get a reset, and I'm like,
Yep.
what?
Yeah.
What was I saying? And it's instantaneously. It's like a high volt of electricity, like zap, and you're like, I don't what?
Yeah, it's like because I had a severe head injury too. When I got hit by the car broke my right leg, and then I kind of like a lever went like this direction and hit my and my right hand crashed into the windshield. And this is where I have scar tissue that goes throughout here. So they like to exploit my injuries whenever they try to get a chance to do so. My left knee was completely shattered and torn up. And that they like to use that weakness against me constantly, my left leg.
Mine too.
So
I
yeah.
almost lost my left leg and the knee down, and I've had lifelong pain for 20 years straight. It's been 21 years now. And that's
Mm,
why I only sleep about an hour or two a day. It's also targeting, sure, but like imagine not even sleeping an hour or two a day. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? I could be in bed for 12 hours and I still won't sleep. It's just nothing but pain. The moment I lay down, they hit me, you know?
Oh yeah, I've noticed even last night I was getting hit with like constant, like from the remote viewers, the beams coming down there, and also V2K things of this nature were hitting me, and they'll try to inflame that knee from time to time, and it's like if I accidentally lay on it or something wrong, then yeah, it lets me know. And even recently, I had some with some ETs that tried to screw with me. I got abducted, and one of them removed a bone from that knee, thinking, "Oh, we're going to prevent him from walking." No, and I noticed there was a part of me that regrew the section that they removed. Basically,
Yeah,
so
because
went,
people like you
no,
and me,
reset.
we do it holographically because this is a holographic universe. That's how I heal a lot of people. That's how I navigate away from Omega programming when I have an asset in person when I'm putting them under. I'm a deep dive memory interrogator. I specialize in memory retrieval under force. So if I have an asset in front of me, if these memories aren't coming out, I will force them out of time and space. I will navigate and tiptoe my way away from Omega programming. I will literally do a complete copy of their body, remove their holographic self outside their body, and then I will navigate through the copy of the holographic body that navigates through the Omega that the physical body's not connected to. And it's like you
Hmm.
said, we learned this from numerous lifetimes, and I've never not one time set off Omega programming because I basically do a full copy. I edit the copy, I reintegrate the copy. It doesn't update. It is now submitted and reformatting itself.
It's funny you
Interesting.
should say that
Yeah.
because some of the groups, the healing groups that we've also spoken with, do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, there was like yeah, I've encountered some groups in dreams of some good guys that were actually they would do that exact thing. They would operate
Exactly.
on a hologram and then they would reintegrate an update like
Yep.
that. Basically, so they tried to tell me they were trying to get around rules like galactic rules, so they figured that was a way to do it. I could clearly tell they were alien, but in order to get around different galactic rules, they said they couldn't physically come and do it, but they did a code update like that. And
Yeah.
things of that nature. And I've done the same thing where I've called it a hypothetical, where I'm like I literally remove it and then work on the hypothetical and then put it back. Like if I can't connect to the person properly, I'll just draw up a hypothetical like it's a medical chart. So you and I were doing pretty much the same thing.
In older ages, you would have been called a shaman.
Mm.
And so these are techniques that have been accessible to the mighty human through different eras. And people would, I mean, going into the underworld. And so these are just different names for the same technology. Very, very impressive. And by the way, this is not something that's anchored into the Akashic records or in the earth. It's a soul level thing. So
Right.
shamans are born. You bring in the codes.
Yeah.
And if you've got a near-death experience, you manage to smuggle a little bit in through the security. So usually coming back into the body is really painful. You're more than before. Wow.
And
Okay,
that
this is this.
security system, and that security system, that's why him and I are what you consider revenant class, because if you kill our hologram, we'll make a copy of it and reinstall it right back.
Exactly. That's exactly that's a good explanation for what other beings were basically telling me. They said I was copy and pasting an earlier version of myself back when something was screwed with, like say a computer, like you do a system restore or something like that. That's basically how they were trying to analogize it was that. So you said the same thing that they were.
That's basically what a med bed is. It's scanning your original light body archetype, and it can see it through birth all the way to death. And you can take that holographic health body before it was manipulated by the disease, and you can just literally reinstall it. So it's all energetic, it's sound, vibration, and psionics. It's like you can, it's almost like holographically reprinting an arm, and you see the arm start to reprint and it's like watching the movie The Fifth Element
Hmm.
when Lilu is being regenerated from her own from just her arm that was
Yeah.
knocked off, and you see the body holographically starting to reassemble itself, just
Yeah.
like Dr. Manhattan with the Watchmen movie. He found a way to holographically reassemble himself, and no matter who takes out his hologram, you just pull the hologram back because you can't kill a hologram if it's literally a hologram, but you have to know it's a hologram. You understand? It's kind of
Hmm.
like you said earlier about how did they move the stones? There is no spoon. There is no stone. You have to realize there's only the mind, and the stone is you observing yourself. So only you choose to move yourself, and the stone moves. And that's what they taught us as kids. Everything around us is us. The first thing they taught us was moving the pencil. You can't see the pencil as separate from yourself. What I like to do is I like to merge with it. I become one with myself. I acknowledge it. I say, you are source, you are God. Hello. May I have permission to merge with your energy and we become one?
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They you say it in more simple fashion. Usually, the guides I work with, they go around the entire explanation is what they're actually all the technical stuff surrounding it, like every little nut and bolt. But yeah, I like the explanation of there is no spoon because that works incredibly well. I That's just like with like in Star Wars with Yoda with the X-wing, where he's just picking up and moving it, and Luke seems to think it's based on size or it's too heavy and has absolutely zero to do with that. So yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, if you really was to weaponize yourself like Magneto shown in one of the movies, he can move an entire tectonic plate because the tectonic plate is the mind. That's what telepathy is. That's what psychokinesis is, and all these other things. You realize it is you, and you live in that truth. That's it. It's all a holographic reality, man. It's all an illusion. There is no physicality, so stop acting like it's real. Stop getting offended when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Yeah.
It's Grand Theft Auto 2020. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't even exist. It might be a background person. You're getting offended from a video game. Treat it like a video game. Start hacking it like a video game. And there's cheat
Exa-
codes and
uh,
backdoors in all video games. I use
exactly.
those.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I like when I play games, I noticed there was somebody when I was actually playing Grand Theft Auto 5 one time, and I noticed there was a synchronicity that popped up on someone's post that showed a screenshot from the same game and the same area that I was looking at on the game. They said, right now, somewhere in the multiverse, this is actually happening. And I'm thinking, and then basically somebody else made the comment going, oh, this is actually my life. This is me. So somebody actually made that comment, and I'm like, all right, I know what myself and others were trying to show me at that time. That's more of a validation to that when I was sitting playing video games, and I see a mirror in some of these games. Like I was playing Conan Exiles one time, and I created this workshop, and I noticed this big reptilian got into the workshop in the game, and I got rid of it. Well, I noticed that in the same instance, there was actually a Draco trying to hide within something in my workshop and spying on me. So basically, it mirrored each other. Anything I was doing in the game in people's sessions, they were actually syncing up, and I was seeing what was being done in the game. Case in point, I was working with somebody who had actually said in a previous life he had actually been given gifts from the void dimension at one point. And I noticed in the game, there was when I got on top of my building, I was looking up and there was this void portal with a bunch of tentacles dropping through it. I'm going, this is not supposed to happen in the game. I don't remember this being in the game. And it was this big purple portal with a bunch of tentacles dropping through it. Never happened again. Not any update or anything like that ever happened again. My friend and I considered that a synchronicity at that point of what we were talking about in his session earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Uh, and it seems any of these video games, from also playing the reboot or repop of Kingdoms of Amalur, been seeing some synchronicities in where I on an ET level actually came from some of these planets that actually have more of an Elder Scrolls look to them. And I've been doing channels and stuff about that game series for years. And I was actually channeling myself because I was bringing through information from where I had actually come from out there. So some memories prior to the SSP. It was coming through in video game synchronicities, of similarities to what I had already experienced. And somebody was trying to put, and also my soul was trying to put together the pieces and bring them here to show me. So I find it very interesting you used video game analogies because I've been seeing up until even recent synchronicities coming through video games. Just when I sit out there and play at night, I've been noticing one right after another. And each time it interlocks with a memory that's trying to come back, or the soul's trying to bring up information or a synchronicity of some kind. So it's actually been quite useful. Some of our lifting episodes I did with a friend of mine named Ryan, Ryan and I did shows on the Elder Scrolls series, and we also did them on the Fallout series. And I came to notice the one on the Fallout series was teaching me about the aspects of the multiverse, the different world lines that the soul was inhabiting or the oversoul was inhabiting. And the Elder Scrolls one was showing me galactic origins. So essentially is what that was. So I find that fascinating that was brought up tonight, and it's all even throughout the weekend before this was synchronizing to game lore.
Well, I mean, the simulation reality is once people accept that this is literally a simulation, you can start treating it like it's a simulation. You could stop getting so emotionally attached to it because, like, you're basically getting addicted to reacting to a video game and not
Yeah.
realizing that you're an avatar playing a video game while your highest self has a limited use of the controller. So it's watching you from another position, but you are inside yourself a simulation. So you have to act like it. You know, people take offense to stupid stuff. Again, it's a simulation, man. Stop holding on to it's like a video game. It's just like you getting upset at the ghost because you're Pac-Man because this ghost keeps killing you over and over, but you get angry every time you respawn and you hold on to it. And like you go after him with like malice. It's like you have to evolve out of your own understanding. You mentioned a thing how I can make I can explain stuff very rudimentarily. Like that's one of my biggest gifts I was told from QHHT. I used to explain stuff very technical. And I realized most minds can't comprehend the steps of technicality in order to build that knowledge to my point. So what I do now is I always try to talk as if I'm talking to a child. Because if you can't tell a child what physics is or what quantum mechanics is, you truly do not comprehend what quantum mechanics is yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've always had a problem with, or not a problem, but I've always had a tough time breaking down certain information into rudimentary terms. I always go into the technical, and people, even clients, look at me and go, "What?" And then I try to break it down into. That's why I did the video game stuff and everything to try to break it down and give examples, or I give movie examples or something like that, where I've seen something like what I'm trying to talk about. People always wonder why I'm using movie examples. It's like, yeah, because I saw the same thing over here, so I'm going to
Yes.
use an analogy here.
As above,
So,
so below. That's the
Yeah.
archetype.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Some people get irked that that on some shows I was talking about video games and movies and all this, but it's like this is how I'm using to explain it, and so that's really all I had to explain it to where they could comprehend it.
I like to say it's like the movie Inception. This is a dream within a dream within a dream, and there's programmers manipulating you, creating the program while you're stuck in the program, not realizing it's a program and you're just asleep
Hmm.
because you're caught in the loops of the trauma. You get it's nothing but trauma loops, reinforcement over and over and over, and you forget you're playing a game.
Hmm.
There,
Yeah,
there's
just like
something there's something really positive that comes out of this. That moment of realization of our multi-dimensional infinite nature. That, oh, okay, it's a game. Oh, how interesting. Now you get to have fun. Beyond, I mean, we're awakening to this. We're really truly feeling it, sensing it, that there's more going on than just the physical, that we are infinite, and that we get to cherry pick gifts. So the soul understands the body, and the body understands the soul. So this body, this magnificent machine with its intelligence and all the capabilities, is that little character playing the game. Now imagine when that little character playing the game is talking to you and you're talking to it, and you give it all these cool upgrades, jailbreaking the game, because that's what we are doing. Capabilities that can manifest in this body that was not originally part of the holographic reality. And so therefore we come truly into our own. That's our destiny. That's where we're going. Truly exciting.
And
Mhm.
when you were saying that, Amir, I'm just segueing in all the conversations we had, and I thought the perfect title for this interview, and I was thinking how to survive the holographic concrete jungle. These are the roles: grounding, doing all these things, realizing that you're not separate from everything, that you are everything, that there is a plan for everything, but you just forgot that you are everything and you're connected to everything, like
Yeah,
you're also
I
the
got that.
concrete, you're also the jungle.
Yeah,
You just have to
exactly.
know that.
I got the song now stuck in my head, "Welcome to the Jungle" from Guns N' Roses. So it's like, so that fits. I was actually starting to hear that before you said it. So,
Synchronicity.
yeah,
Synchron. Yep, I think we're onto something. Oh, moo
mm.
ha 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 ha.
I think we should
The
bring a lot of these later elements. At the end of our interview, we started getting into some heated subjects. I think next time, maybe when you guys come back, let's get into the heated stuff. Let's get into the SSP. Let's get into what it's like to
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
targeted
yeah.
individuals. Like, let's get out of the fundamentals and get into the Batman tool belt.
okay,
Which
yeah,
is good, but
yeah.
just remember, I just say with caution, that a lot of people are at the beginners. So, are at the beginning stages of this, and that, are, I believe personally, these conversations, are coming about. So again, so that we can show what it's like when like energies get together to help expand awareness, when we get together to support one another, and we look for common ground. We want us all to have a strong foundation of unity to build from now. because then again, in that game that let's say that we're all in, we have more control over the directions of which we want to go and experience, because there's a reason for it all. I mean, there's a reason why we're an avatar living in an expression that's been created, a video game, however you want to describe it. And again, and part of it is, are we able with our energies to manipulate, pass through somebody else's design that they want to keep it a certain way? And can we then have these experiences that we wish to have, that we will find more rewarding, right? And be able to move to the next level of the game, in the game that we wish to be playing with. And I think that's really important, but we're always going to end up looping around a little bit to the basics, because you need an A++ in the basics to move on.
To the next level. Agreed. A little bit of goodness for everyone.
And you can do it. We don't have these conversations because you can't. I just need people to know that we are not fatalists here. This is something where, we try to give concrete things to practice and to do, so you can convince yourself that you are more than what you think about. So again, practice the grounding, practice being able to sit in peace with yourself, to know who you are, practice knowing when that's being innervated so you can push it away, and then be in your genuine, authentic self. You know when you're there, your mind will ease. You will speak more through this way of an energy, and you'll feel it. So work on those skills.
Beautifully said. Okay, so Drago, shall we bring our show to a close? By the way, we freaking love you guys, and I'm sure the audience love you too. You got to come back. Let's continue, because I think we're addressing so many things in a most beautiful and positive way. It's clean information, people can relate to it, and they're getting something useful out of it. Please, you got to come back.
Thank you. We'd love to.
We'd love to. Thank you. Yeah.
Amazing. So, Drago, do you want to close down?
Sure. Before we close up the shop and pull off that on sign, how can people find your work, your social media, the things you sell with Etsy? Let's go and talk about it. We'll make sure to link those things in the bio.
Okay, the main website is thelifting.net. What you see in the little left-hand corner there. The Lifting's Etsy store is, you just go on to etsy.com/thelifting, one word. And also our sister brand, Galactic Intraversal Consortium, on YouTube as well. That's all our galactic historical information. All permanent links are on thelifting.net.
So thelifting.net, remember that. Won't get you anywhere.
All right, guys, what an amazing transmission. The things we uncovered, the attacks live while we're talking, and the fact that, Chris, man, when you went to protect me, you then see that Amir also had your back protecting you, and the fact that they hit you last night, they knew how powerful this transmission would be, and that's why they hit you last night, and that's why the moment you came on, you're like, I'm just not energetically here, and then the moment we start focusing on it, you shifted to a completely different person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's that other side that then takes back over and discards the programming that's been put in place.
And that's what energetic unity can do. I just gotta keep going back to that.
Cherry on top.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel completely grounded after that. So thank you guys for doing that. I appreciate it.
We love you. And okay, ladies and gentlemen, we freaking love you. Come back for more. We'll try to bring more goodies to you. All the very best. And thank you both for being our guest.
Until next time from the Spiritual Bro Show, we look forward to our next transmission.
Bye-bye,
Until next time, everyone.